July 18, 2013, like I said, started off as a beautiful day, and me and my brother spent every single day together. He rode me home, and while we were driving, he said, "Sis, are you going with me?" And I still regret to this day that I didn't go with him. I regret that I didn't go. But it was just so weird that I'm not knowing that I'm locking eyes with him for the last time. Growing up around here wasn't always like that. It was really good, man. It was really good. I felt secure. I felt comfortable. I felt like I never ever wanted to leave Baltimore. It just felt so good. But right now, I don't even want to be in Baltimore anymore. And the only reason why I'm here is to keep this good fight alive, and not just for my brother, but for all the victims of police brutality. But I don't even feel safe in Baltimore. We're almost here. When we met up with the state's attorney, 154 days later, we met up with the state's attorney, and we asked them, "Well, why did you even pull my brother over?" And they basically said, "Well, we saw that he was driving too slow towards a stop sign." I'm thinking, like, who speeds up towards a stop sign? You know, that made no sense to me. And then witnesses said that he actually was, after he was like pulling over to stop, he didn't realize he's being pulled over. They said that they saw him because he had just gotten a phone call, and me and him was eating dinner, and so he bought the young lady some food and a box of dinner. So he was actually handing her the white container of food. So for the police to say that they thought something fishy was going down, some type of drug action or whatever they tried to say, he looked suspicious because he was dipping back and forth. He handed the lady her box of food. It's ridiculous. And then even in the independent review, it basically said they didn't even call it in. They had no reason to stop my vehicle in the first place. They said they had no reason. But the crazy part was when they stopped and he pulled over, they said they beat my brother so bad he got beat from this side of the street all the way to that side, back again right there. Then after he got beat, and the witnesses came out their house, and they was like screaming, "Please stop beating this man." They wouldn't listen, and when they came right here, and they said it was like 15 of them. They said they was throwing haymakers at my brother. He was already handcuffed. He was already pepper sprayed, tased. He was no threat at all. And anybody that's a so-called threat or resisting, that they wanted to say, they're the only ones saying he was resisting, but the witnesses here didn't even know why he was even being brutally murdered. You know, but the craziest part was when the witnesses tried to help him, the police, those same police officers, Nicholas David Chapman and Officer Ruiz, told them if they didn't get the F back in the house, the same thing was going to happen to them. What kind of road cop scavenger animals are these? And the saddest part was he had my vehicle, my work bags was hanging up in there. Nobody called Tawanda Jones to say, "Look, we had something went bad with your brother. Please come down here and identify his body." No one called me. At exactly 7 o'clock, I felt like I was having a stroke. And when I woke from that pain, I got up. I wasn't sleeping. When I jumped up from off the floor, because the pain was so excruciating that I fell on the floor. When I jumped up, and I realized at that moment something was wrong with my brother. And numerous tries to reach him, I couldn't reach him. And finally, 10 o'clock at night, my boyfriend walks in my room, and he tells me, "You were so right. I'm sorry I ain't listened to you." And I'm like, "What?" "The police brutally murdered your brother." And I'm like, and I'm in shock. At this moment, all my understanding went out the window. That type of pain was so much for your body to comprehend. That type of pain, type of losing somebody like that, and they couldn't even call me. So at that moment, all the life left out my body, and the new me rose up. The new me to fight for justice, and not just for my brother, but for all the victims of police brutality, because these are not isolated incidents. It's happening all over the world, and when it happened to my brother, it made me study them. And the first thing they do is blame the victim for him or her, even baby Tamir Rice. They blame all of them for getting killed. They got their own self killed, not that someone killed them. It's a conscious conspiracy to obstruct justice, and it's happening all over.
Tyrone West's death at the hands of police that preceded Freddie Gray. He wasn't the first. He sadly won't be the last. But on the heels of his death, his family did something that I've never seen before. They came together with a consistent, tenacious, in-your-face style confrontation to the police department, the police chief, and leaders of the city. Honestly, the case of Tyrone West is almost a case study in everything that is wrong, from the lack of transparency, the lack of any kind of decent treatment or compassion toward the families, the beginning of the narrative of, well, he had a criminal record, so as if that justifies his being killed after a traffic stop. All of the things that happened with the Tyrone West case are an example of everything that's wrong. The fact that the family says that to this day they haven't received a full and complete autopsy, including all the pictures and everything.
We had to, of course, try to search for answers. Nobody would talk to us when he was brutally murdered that Thursday. But then turned around that first Wednesday, we're like, we're going to do a protest. We're not going to just be wearing T-shirts and crying and hanging teddy bears on a pole. That's not good enough, not for our loved one.
Like Tawanda said, we all got a big victory yesterday.
Yes, sir.
I never did this for me. I always did this for us.
Yes. Always.
I've never mentioned me in this situation. I'm very passionate. It's very sensitive towards me. Because every time I think about it, the most important thing to me was I might not make it home for my son. I'm not going to make it home tonight. And it's not up to me whether I make it home tonight. It was by the grace of God. It was by the grace of God my neighbors came out. And that's not normal in 2016. That a 70-year-old lady came out her house at 7:30 on an evening because she heard something may not be right. Just think about that. My life was left up to a 70-year-old lady at her dinner table saying something don't sound right. Came out and saved my life. She screamed to warn these other neighbors, something not right here. These men were willing to take my life. They attempted to take my life. In my backyard.
That killed my brother. The same ones. The same ones.
In front of a baby and a whole community, and then turn around and commit the same act? Who knows what happened in between the other 17 days? Because in our community, we know that this falls on deaf ears. It would have fell on deaf ears to me that day if my son wasn't in the car. To be quite honest with you guys, frankly honest. My son wasn't in the car. That day, had they not arrested me, I'd have went back in the house and mind my business. I swear to God. I swear to God. Had they not arrested me, because I'm used to this. I'm from Newark, New Jersey, which is just like Baltimore City and all these other urban cities. It's been happening to me since I was 12 years old. Literally, I swear to God. Only reason that I made an issue that day was because my son was in the car and he should not have been subjected to this type of brutality. He had no reason to be held prisoner while his father was beat within inches of his life. And then 2 weeks later, it reduced me to tears, to my knees, to read an article. This is before I met my new family. To read an article that depicted and described the same actions that happened to me. This time, the victim died.
I'm just waiting for the world to find out the truth. Because at the end of the day, nobody deserves to get brutally murdered. I still remember like it was yesterday, a bad nightmare that I can never change. These trials are very important because if they keep letting these road cops off, it's just saying keep on continuing on murdering them. We are more than hashtags and body bags.